conversations that I most often have with my executive clients and the teams that I lead is how do we navigate conflict? I'm Rowan Dredge and I help technical experts become people leaders. And conflict is a given for leaders and leadership. Conflict is a given for teams and teamwork. It's going to happen. It's not about the avoidance of conflict that's the challenge that we're facing, is it? It's about how we handle it when it comes. One of the things that I do when I take teams through an alignment, culture and behavior experience is the very last thing we do is we talk about what are we going to do if this goes wrong? What are we going to do if it goes off track? What are we going to do if at the end of the day, I don't like you? You are frustrating me. You're driving me crazy because you always do that or you never do that. What do we do? Conflict is inevitable. The key is understanding how we're going to resolve it. Now, in some of my earlier videos, I've introduced you to the idea of the 5 voices. Absolutely essential reading, listening, and understanding when it comes to resolving conflict. Because as you refer back, I'm a connector pioneer. And the way that I create conflict as a connector, my weapon of warfare is what they call cyber warfare. I'd undermine you or I'd sideline you. As a pioneer, my weapon of warfare is a grenade launcher. If I don't like what's going on, I'll just pull out the grenade launcher and pull the trigger. It's not pretty and not great, and I'm not proud of it. So when I know that about myself and I understand that about myself, I can do something about it. So the first thing when it comes to conflict is, how do you do conflict? What's your pathology of conflict? Do you fight? Do you flight? Do you freeze? What is it that you do at that point in time? And when you know yourself, you can lead yourself. The other thing is, what's the culture of conflict in your environment? Is there a water cooler culture? Or as I teach people, is there a talk to and not about culture? I see that the thing is, when we choose not to talk to the person, we actually decide to extend the problem because we share it with a person who then leverages our story and our narrative, and we fail to actually take responsibility for it becoming better. So we've got to know our own pathology of conflict. We've got to know the culture of conflict that we're in. Then we've got to decide how we want it to be. And I'm not sure I've come across too many case studies. If you know of one, let me know. You might even be one. How do leaders handle these sorts of challenges and these sorts of conflicts? What do they do? What do you do? I always try and work out what we're supposed to do in advance. How are we going to handle if it goes off track? How are we going to handle this if we don't work well together? And in my next video, I'll tell you a story about 3 leaders I worked together very, very closely. 3 completely different ways of handling conflict. Know your pathology of conflict, know the culture of conflict, know what you want it to be like, and then the last thing I'll say on this particular conversation is take the first step. Say, I think we need to have a conversation about making things better or putting things right or addressing a few concerns. And use the word I, own it. Lean into the person, commit to the relationship and say, how can we work together on this problem and make it different together? But so many clients I work with, so many teams I work with haven't worked out what their rules of engagement are going to be for conflict. And it's essential that you do it. It's essential that you hold each other to account for doing it and doing it well, and you call each other up to the best and highest possible standard. It's a challenging situation, I get it, because it has people and feels and emotions and everything that goes with it. But when you face up to it, you be responsible and courageous. Great outcomes are on the other side of that for you.